People of the Caddo Nation were able to share their culture with the community through Caddo Culture Day this Saturday. The historic Caddo Mounds site in Alto held a celebration to honor the past and celebrate the current, thriving Caddo culture with traditional games and ancestral foods and more. East Texas News Weekend's Olivia Hartpence has more on its significance.
Isn't just an ancient archaeological site, but these are living, vibrant. It's a living, vibrant culture, a community of people that are here welcoming them to their land.
Today, hundreds of people came out to experience, learn, and celebrate Caddo culture with activities from Native and Caddo people themselves as a way to keep Caddo history alive. It's something that Assistant Site Director Rachel Gallen says is just one of the ways they can connect the community with Caddo culture.
Their land, it's their ancestral homeland, and this is the time, where they really get to tell their story, and it's not other people telling their story for them.
At today's celebration, there was cooking of authentic Caddo food, basket weaving, Caddo language activities, and intertribal stickball. Stickball is a traditional Native American sport, once used to solve war and unite tribes. Now, Krista Langley, the coach of the Alto stickball team, says it holds a deep cultural significance.
Nowadays, we play it to just show honor to our ancestors. Stickball is a way that we teach our young people to be balanced. And just being able to teach others, like non-tribal folks or younger tribal members, it keeps that tradition alive for the future.
Langley says that she feels it's deeply important for her to share her culture in this way, and she hopes that it will reach more people and create an impact.
We can hopefully build a little bit of respect for our teachings, and they can help move those forward, and that our kids, our generations that come after us can thrive.
Some visitors say that they were excited to see and learn more about Caddo culture and to support local Native tribes.
Interesting to see the culture now and get to see the aspects of it that you typically don't get to see.
Olivia Hartpence, East Texas News Weekend.
And if you are interested in learning more or supporting the Caddo historic sites, you're encouraged to reach out and look into being a friend of the Caddo Volunteer.